If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes.
This is Radio Random Network. Find us on the web at www.radiorandomnetwork.com.
You're backstage with hashtag RDM on Radio Random Network. Now, here's the host, hashtag RDM, Russell Devin McLean.
All right, welcome to Backstage with the hashtag RDM. I am hashtag RDM, Russell Devin McLean, and I want to thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. Got a very, very, very entertaining episode for you today. At least I think so. I'm going to be talking to brand new recording artist for Reviver Records, Miss Kayla Adams. She's going to be here. She's going to be talking about how she got to where she is today with her music career, all the great things she's been doing. She's even been on the CMAs. And with all of that said, we're going to go ahead and do the song of the day and get that out of the way. Song of the day this week is coming from a guest that we're going to have in a couple of weeks by the name of Miss Donica Knight. Check it out. It's called Love Ain't a Prize. And when we return, I'll be talking to Kayla Adams. We'll also be showcasing another Podern Family show today, so get ready for that as well.
My love ain't a prize. My love ain't a prize. Can't buy this woman. My love ain't a prize. And I reckon I know, 'cause mama taught me so. You cannot buy it. My love ain't a prize. I'll be an open book if you treat me right. But my love ain't a prize. No, you sure can't buy it. Ooh, give me something I need to keep my soul alive. 'Cause what I want is in your heart, living in your arms and eyes. But you can't buy this southern girl. Can't buy this southern girl. You can't buy this southern girl's heart. My love ain't a prize. My love ain't a prize. You can't buy this southern girl's heart. My love ain't a prize. Oh no. My love ain't a prize. Oh no. If you're looking for a friend, you know that I won't hide. I'll give you hope, trust and sacrifice. And I reckon you'll know as the time goes by that I'll buy it, Lord. Your love ain't a prize. I'll be an open book and I'll treat you right. 'Cause what I want is to be yours and for you to be mine. But you can't buy this southern girl. You can't buy this southern girl. You can't buy this southern girl's heart. My love ain't a prize. My love ain't a prize. You can't buy this southern girl's heart. Yeah. My love ain't a prize. Oh no. You can't buy my heart. You can't buy my heart. My love ain't a prize. Oh no. But if you dig real deep, you won't believe the treasure you will find. The treasure you will find. Yeah. Can't buy this southern girl. You can't buy this southern girl. You can't buy this southern girl's heart. My love ain't a prize. My love ain't a prize. You can't buy this southern girl's heart. Oh, you can't buy this southern girl. You can't buy this southern girl. Can't buy this southern girl's heart. No.
That was Donica Knight with My Love Ain't a Prize, and she's going to be on the show April 19th, y'all. Very, very bluesy, the kind of stuff that I like. You know, I kind of rushed into that. It's been a very fast day, so to speak. Seemed like I've been rushing my ass off, running and trying to get things done. Got a lot of stuff going on here, and I want to do the show live, and I'm doing my best to get it out there. And with all of that said, welcome to the show. Glad you can hit the play button on Spreaker and listen to us live, and also on iHeartRadio if you're listening. Thank you so much. If it's your first time listening, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. First time, like I said, been trying to do this live, so it's the first real show that we're really putting out there live. So any feedback would be great. What can we do to help? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll share a link in today's show notes for the show at radiorandomnetwork.com, and you can suggest what we can do to make it better. You know what I mean? And with all of that said, to find out more about Donica Knight, you can go to donicaknight.com, and you can find that link in the show note, as well as all links we talk about on today's show. You can find them at the show notes. Man, what a weekend. WrestleMania, which everybody knows I love WrestleMania. And because WrestleMania was on the same night as the ACMs, I was unable to watch the awards. But that's okay, because I will review the rewards, and we'll talk to Mudtooth about it on this week's show. We'll do a little review and get caught up on everything. I did understand that Chris Stapleton won about 6 awards. Great for him. And they were up in Las Vegas for this year's show. And Dolly Parton, Kaylee, and Katy Perry, they were together and did a duet, and I thought that was pretty cool. With that said, that brings me to something that I've said for a while here, that there's no more boundaries or barriers as far as music goes. I think music is the universal language of the world, and anybody can relate to music. And with that said, I don't think there's really genres anymore. I think everything's pretty much the same now. It doesn't matter if you're country, you can fit into the pop scene or the rock scene. You still have your heavy stuff. You still have your crazy, some of your hip hop stuff and all of that. But I'm rambling. But you can tell me what you think by hitting me up on Twitter at Russ McClain 2012. That's RUSSMCLA 2012. And if you're listening to us live right now, there is a chat room. If you're listening on Spreaker, you can log into the chat room right now, and I'll chat with you. We could talk about a few things. We could talk about whatever you want to talk about. We got about 35 minutes left of this live show, and we'll be getting to our interview with Miss Kayla Adams here shortly. Speaking of which, like I said earlier, she is a newly signed Reviver Records recording artist. She's label mates with our good friends here at the show, Low Cash, who has been on the show many times, Mr. Preston and Chris, who are they're burning it up, man. They've been on this show twice with me, and the other night they made their debut on television on the Tonight Show there with Jimmy Kimmel, if I'm not mistaken. And I could be very well mistaken, as I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here of the day to get this show out. But nonetheless, on the Newswire, got some great news for our friends in the Great White North, because Meatloaf has announced a 2016 Canadian tour. That's right, he's going to be hitting the road, kicking it off, I think, May 28th at the Rogers and Rock Center in like Kingston, Ontario. And that ought to be pretty cool. It's going to be a rock and roll show. You always, you got to love Meatloaf, you know. I do anything for love. Hell, everybody knows that song, and I'm sure you don't really want to hear me sing it. And also on the Newswire, I want to send a big shout-out to my friend Charlie Daniels and the Journey Home Project. They donated $50,000 to Fuel Shepherd's Men Runners track from Boston to Atlanta, and that's pretty cool. Charlie Daniels, I think, is the co-founder, and he's always involved with our armed forces and all of that good stuff. With all of that said, I tell you what we're going to do. It is the Pattern Family Spotlight of the Day, and this week I've been listening to the highly recommended show, and you can check it out as well at, I think, the highlyrecommendedshow.com, and they're also on Twitter at Highly Recommended Show. And if you want to discover great podcasts and you're on Twitter, there is a community that we are a proud member of here at the Radio Random Network. It is the Pattern Family, and you can discover many great shows by searching Twitter with the hashtag Pattern Family. With all of that said, let's go ahead and get to that right now. And here it is. This is the Highly Recommended Show, and be sure to check it out.
Okay, guys, it's the final round. Get this right, and you win £1 billion. Are you ready? Here we go. And remember, you need to answer in the form of a question. This is the website you need to go to in order to find the most up-to-date episodes and download links for the world's greatest podcast. Okay, Virginia Hertz, well, you put themarysue.com. I'm afraid that's incorrect. Bash Lightly, you have put The Hun. I'm afraid that is also incorrect. Okay, Randy Bumhertz, for the £1 million, what is the highly recommended show.com is correct. That's right, Randy. The highly recommended show.com is indeed the website you need to go to in order to find the most up-to-date episodes and download links for the world's greatest podcast, hosted by Boo Lamont and Dino Peppers.
All right, we are back here on Backstage with hashtag RDM on the Radio Random Network. And as you know, I am hashtag RDM, Russell Devin McLean. And so much fun we're having now. We're about, 15 minutes into the live show here on Tuesday evening. It's 7:36 p.m. It's out here in Baton Rouge. It's a great-looking day outside, and I hope everybody's having a great day. And, earlier I said I was talking a little bit about WrestleMania. And they've been some stuff going on, and I don't know if any of you guys follow it, but there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on in the pro wrestling world and also the MMA world. One, there's two legends of the Octagon and the pro wrestling ring that are feuding, Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock. And Dan Severn is continuing his attack on Ken Shamrock for not showing up to certain fights that they were booked for, and I think it's pretty awesome that Dan's doing it. He's been calling out Shamrock for a while now, and I'll have the letter that Dan Severn sent to all of the media outlets, I guess, in his contacts, and I'll have that up at RadioRandomNetwork.com for you to read. And in a couple of weeks, I'll be joined by Dan DeBee Severn, and as well as former WWE diva or woman's champion, whatever you want to call her, and kind of controversial because she is she's a porn star now or whatever she's doing. China Doll Joni Laurie will be joining me in a couple of weeks here on Backstage with hashtag RDM. So y'all be sure and tune in for that. You can keep up with the Radio Random Network by subscribing to us on iTunes. And if you would like to support, all you have to do is go to iTunes and give us a rating and review. That helps with the algorithms. You can follow us on Spreaker and keep up with the live shows and hear me stutter and fumble over my words every week as we trying to do this show live now. And you can also go to RadioRandomNetwork.com. Just click on the support button at the top. It'll give you all kinds of ways to support if you would like to support the show and keep it free for all of our listeners. All right, gang. What we're going to do now is talk with the one and only Miss Kayla Adams from Reviver Records. So hang with me, and we'll be right back with Miss Kayla Adams. Don't go nowhere. All right, we're here back with Backstage with hashtag RDM right here on the Radio Random Network. And this week I'm joined by brand new singer-songwriter, just been signed by Reviver Records. I'm talking to the phenomenal Miss Kayla Adams. Kayla, how you doing today, sweetie?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for calling in. We appreciate you calling in. Man, you've had a busy week so far, the busy weekend. You just left Vegas not too long ago, correct?
Yep, I just got back last night from Vegas for the ACM Awards. It was a great time.
Now, was that the first time you ever attended the ACM Awards?
No, it was actually my second time, but it was my first time attending them in Vegas because last year they were in Dallas.
Really?
Yep.
So what do you think of Vegas?
Oh, I love Vegas. I mean, Vegas is so much fun. It's just a great place to have an award show because the weather's great. There's just tons of people and so much to do. It was amazing.
Yes, indeed. Well, a couple of weeks ago, you got some great news. You were signed by Reviver Records. They added you to your roster, to their roster. Tell us, how does that feel? I mean, you've been doing this for a while, but that's kind of like a little bit of a dream come true, so to speak. So what does it feel like to be a signed artist?
Well, it's a big deal. It's something that I've worked for pretty much my entire life, and it's kind of, it's a little bit overwhelming and it's a little bit surreal just because even though I've wanted it for so long, it's just kind of like, whoa, it's actually happening now. And it's inspiring for me because it just makes me want to put out even better music and just be the best artist that I can be.
Yes, indeed. And you recently moved to Nashville not too long ago, right? So, and you're from Montana. So is that sort of a culture shock for you?
Not too bad because I've moved around a decent bit. Been in Nashville now for about 2.5 years. Nashville's great. It's actually kind of like Montana in that there's still this just small town feel and people are just good, friendly people.
Right.
So that's nice. I still kind of have that piece of home.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's get right down to the nitty gritty. Let's talk about some of your music. You not too long ago, you got you released a debut video called "Burn a Little Colder." Give us a little insight behind the song itself.
That song I wrote about when you're falling in love. There usually comes a moment when you realize that you're falling in love and you realize like how serious it might be and how badly this person can hurt you, and it can kind of freak you out.
Right.
So I wrote this about that because that's usually the moment where you're like, oh, I don't know if I should be doing this. This is probably the worst idea ever, but I'm probably going to go for it anyway. So it's just kind of about that emotion.
Yes, indeed. Now let's rewind a little bit. I know we're jumping around, but we'll get to the songwriting and everything in a few minutes. But Was music something that was always in your household as a child growing up?
Yeah, I really grew up just always listening to the radio.
Right.
My family wasn't overly musical, but yeah, I grew up on country radio, just out on the farm listening to it, whether I was in the car with my mom or just out doing stuff around the farm. We just always had the radio on, and I always sang. And at some point, when I was maybe 12, 13, I just thought to myself, if this is what I love to do is sing, then I guess I should do that for my career.
Right. Well, I mean, you were talking a little bit about listening to the radio on the farm there in Montana, but who were some of the influences on the radio that you kind of drew from?
My favorite of all time is probably Shadazy. I just love them. I love the kind of songs that they pick. I also really love Cherie Austin. But I mean, anyone who was on the radio in the 90s, that was the era that was just driven by females. So, I mean, you've got everybody. You have Reba and Faith and Martina McBride, just so many amazing women, and I loved all of them.
Right. That's pretty awesome. Now, let's talk a little bit about your songwriting. Kayla, I mean, songwriting is something that doesn't come natural to everybody. But how do you draw? Give us a little insight on your writing process, so to speak. I mean, do you have to? Are you the type that can sit down with a guitar or at the piano with a pen and paper and write a song, or do you have to catch a certain emotion or a certain feeling?
I think I definitely need to be inspired. But I tend to just sort of draw from my life and from the things that I see out in the world. And yeah, I'll just kind of sit down with a guitar usually, sometimes piano, and just kind of see what happens. I think songs come out the fastest when something's really going on that's got you thinking. But it's more, when something's maybe a little bit more in the past, I think sometimes it takes longer to write that song.
Right.
But it's still, just kind of, you draw from that emotion and put it all together.
Yes, indeed. Now, we're talking about the songwriting and everything. Now, how many of your songs is actually written off of personal dating experiences?
Pretty much all of them. I mean, Burn a Little Colder is more vague, meaning for me it's not about any one specific person, just about something that I felt before. But most of my songs are usually about something very specific that's happened. Most of the time it's something that's happened to me.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Well, you've got a lot going on. You got a lot of great stuff going on. And how much has your schedule picked up since signing with Reviver?
Well, it hasn't gotten too crazy yet, partially because I'm still in that songwriting process. We're working on my debut album, and we're starting to talk to producers. So that kind of keeps me in Nashville so that I can, meet with them and write with other writers, get into the studio. So it hasn't gotten too crazy yet, but it will.
Yes, indeed. Now, give me a little insight on how do you? How did you gain the attention of Reviver Records?
Well, it was kind of just through mutual friends in the business. I had another deal that ended, and some of my friends went to Reviver and said, "Hey, you should check out this girl," and they did, and I guess they liked what they saw.
That's pretty awesome. And you also got some pretty heavy sponsors as well, correct? You got Aston Martin, is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, how neat is that?
It's pretty cool. I like fast cars, so it's right in my wheelhouse.
Yes, indeed. Well, with all of that said, I mean, your performance is coming to a review of very energetic. You got the attitude. You've really grasped your career. You seem like you're on the right track. With all of that said, Kayla, is there any advice you can share to anybody that might want to follow in your footsteps?
The one thing that I always say is to just kind of focus on what you know, focus on the things that you can do right now, and the rest will come. Because it is a bit overwhelming trying to get into this industry, and that's really the best advice I can give, is to not to think too far ahead, just to focus on, your art and your music, playing a local show, doing whatever you can do today, and the pieces will fall together and everything will work out.
Yes, indeed. And before I let you go, you were there the other night when Dolly Parton took the stage with Katy Perry. Katy had mentioned that Dolly is one of her biggest. She's a huge Dolly Parton fan. One of her biggest influences. Now, if you had to choose someone next year, just say next year, you're booked on the stage, AMC's. Who would you want to perform with?
I would love to perform with Miranda Lambert. That'd probably be, yeah.
That's awesome. Have you had any interaction with Miranda yet?
No, I haven't met her. She's about one of the only ones that I didn't see over the weekend. And then, of course, there were a couple of country acts who were at the iHeart Awards instead, so I obviously didn't see Brad Paisley. But, yeah, she's probably almost the only one that I didn't see at some point over the weekend.
Yes, indeed. Now, what about that Chris Stapleton? What's your thoughts on Chris?
I think Chris is great. He's got an incredible vocal talent. Obviously, a really different approach when it comes to what country music is to him. And I just think it's amazing that he's making the music that he wants to make. He's not bending to any sort of perceived rules, and it's worked out great for him. And I think that's awesome, because I think the one thing you always have to do is stay true to who you are as an artist. And, it can be hard when if you're Chris Stapleton and that's not what radio plays, but he chose to stay true to himself and it paid off. So I think that's amazing.
Yes, indeed. Well, Kayla, I want to thank you so much for joining me today right here on the Radio Random Network. It means a lot to us here, and we're going to be following your career as we have been. And with all of that said, for more information about Kayla, you can just simply visit KaylaAdamsMusic.com, and you'll find all the information you need to know about Kayla. You can connect with her on all the social media outlets. And with all that said, Kayla, once again, it was an honor and a pleasure to talk with you, and I hope to catch you down the road.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kayla, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Always great to talk to up-and-coming country music acts, and Kayla is one of them to keep your eye on, because she's climbing the charts just like her label mates, LoCash. LoCash was actually a guest on the show a year or so ago when they had just really started their adventure. Now they're on the Jimmy Kimmel Live, but you know what? Those guys still make time for me, so I'm cool with them, and I'm also cool with Kayla. With all of that said, one more time, KaylaAdamsMusic.com. You can find that in the show notes at RadioRandomNetwork.com. And with all of that said, we're going to take a small pause for the worthy cause. We'll be right back here on Backstage with hashtag RDM on the Radio Random Network. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Okay, guys, it's the final round. Get this right, and you win £1 billion. Are you ready? Here we go. And remember, you need to answer in the form of a question. This is the website you need to go to in order to find the most up-to-date episodes and download links for the world's greatest podcast. Okay, Virginia Hertz. Well, you put themarysue.com. I'm afraid that's incorrect. Bash Lightly, you have put the Hun. I'm afraid that is also incorrect. Okay, Randy Bumhertz, for the £1 million. What is the highly recommended show.com is correct. That's right, Randy. The highly recommended show.com is indeed the website you need to go to in order to find the most up-to-date episodes and download links for the world's greatest podcast, hosted by Boo Lamont and Dino Peppers.
All right, it was great talking with the one and only Miss Kayla Adams. What a great person to talk to. Really enjoyed the talk we had. She's a great person, and I wish the best for her. And with all of that said, guys, as we wind down to the last 10 minutes of the show, I want to remind you all, if you would like to support Radio Random Network, all you have to do is go to www.radiorandomnetwork.com and hit the support button on the top. There you can rate and review the show on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. You can also follow us on SoundCloud and Stitcher. And hopefully this week I'll be able to get with old Mudtooth and we'll put our show back out there. And I want to send a shout out real quick. Now, I done played the Highly Recommended Show podcast, which is the podcast show of the week. But I'm very flattered because myself and Mudtooth did the review for the, was it the Oscars a couple of weeks ago? And, or the Emmys. I'm sorry, it was the Emmys, I believe. And I don't remember. Everything's been going crazy around here, but needless to say, we were featured on a another podcast called the Succotash Show. Succotashshow.com, I think, is the link. I'll have to double check all that, as I've lost the notes here tonight here on Spreaker, but I promise you I've done this before, and I promise you that everything's going to be all right. And next week we'll be right back to normal and doing this thing, and it won't be so rushed, and I'll have all the right notes, and everything will be right here with me. As I said, it's been crazy here, getting ready for all the changes that are about to happen. And with all the shows and with the Radio Random Network and everything, which we'll update everybody on that here shortly, real soon. By the way, I would like to say thank you to our friends at Webster Public Relations for hooking up this interview with Miss Kayla Adams, and I want to encourage everyone out there to go listen to Kayla. And with all of that said, guys, one more. I'm about to forget the giveaway for March. We did not announce our March winner of the Ronnie McDowell autographed autobiography, which is titled Bringing It to You Personally. You can go to Radio Random Network and listen to the interview I did with Ronnie not too long ago about the book. But with all of that said, guys, the winner is Mr. Michael D. from Denham Springs, Louisiana. He signed up via Radio Random Network by clicking on the giveaway, and he receives our newsletter, which got one going to be coming out here shortly, and it's going to be updating everybody on all the changes and everything that is going on here. And congratulations to you, Mr. Michael D., and I hope you enjoy the Ronnie McDowell autobiography. This month, April, we're going to be giving away the brand new album by Mr. Billy Ray Cyrus. Now, nothing special about it. It's not signed or anything. It's just, it's got some pretty killer songs on it. You can find more information about it in the show notes at RadioRandomNetwork.com. Damn, don't I say that a lot. RadioRandomNetwork.com, you'll find everything you need to know. And I hope you enjoyed the show here with Miss Kayla Adams. And with all of that said, guys, it's about that time for me to go ahead and get on out of here and get ready for the Friday show with Russell and Mudtooth. And also, if you are in the central Baton Rouge area, myself and Mr. Steve Haney will be unplugged with the Russell and Steve Haney duo at Our Place Lounge. It's going to be ladies' night. I'm going to be there. We're going to be playing our acoustic guitars, singing all your favorite tunes. Lady, you get some drink specials and all that good stuff. And with all of that said, guys, one more time, I want to thank you so much for bearing with me with this show. I had to get it out tonight. I won't have time to get everything going tomorrow because it's been crazy around here. I mean, just crazy. And I know you're probably laughing at me right now, but it's okay. That's fine. It's all right. I'm cool with it. I'm very cool with it. You can laugh. I can joke. I can make fun of myself. It's all good. But I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give a big shout out to the highly recommended show via Potter & Family one more time by playing the High Show Jeopardy promo here on the show. And I want to thank those guys for podcasting. And one more time, if you want to find a great podcast, go to Twitter. Follow us at WRDM Network on Twitter. Me personally at Russ, RUSSMCLA 2012. And if you want to discover great podcasts to listen to weekly, just search Twitter for hashtag Potter Family. There you will find it. We got a bunch of great guests coming up in the next couple of months. I've already got a lot lined up, and time is running out, and that is my cue. So with all of that said, thank you so much for listening, and we're going to talk at you next week. Take it away, highly recommended show, and then we're going to go out with Miss Kayla Adams' new single. So here we go, and thank you so much for listening.
Okay, guys, it's the final round. Get this right, and you win £1 billion. Are you ready? Here we go. And remember, you need to answer in the form of a question. This is the website you need to go to in order to find the most up-to-date episodes and download links for the world's greatest podcast. Okay, Virginia Hertz. Well, you put themarysue.com. I'm afraid that's incorrect. Bash Lightly, you have put the Hun. I'm afraid that is also incorrect. Okay, Randy Bumhertz, for the £1 million. What is the highly recommended show.com is correct. That's right, Randy. The highly recommended show.com is indeed the website you need to go to in order to find the most up-to-date episodes and download links for the world's greatest podcast, hosted by Boo Lamont and Dino Peppers.
wish would take the sun.